Welcome back, guys. We're now on episode 6 of my Factorio 17 playthrough, and we're pretty much picking up exactly where we left off last time, where we had just gotten done making this big spaghetti mess. It's pretty much making a couple of the basics I need for automation, like belts and inserters now, but of course those will eventually feed into science. And then we also got some of these red science automation up and running, but we don't have the labs feeding into the research facility quite yet, so we're going to go ahead and do that today. And we're also going to have to address the growing biter problem. It's definitely getting a little bit worse. I'm still getting a frequent amount of biters coming and attacking. I just had to refill the turrets, and then I had to extend my wall with another layer. So I know I can't ignore that for too long, but I'm hoping I could at least ignore it for a little bit longer because I do want to continue with working on automation. So the first thing I can easily do just to improve our military aspects of the game is actually place down a radar machine. I meant to do that in last episode, and I meant to place it over here. But that way we can get a little bit more radar coverage of what's going on around the base. But secondly, I do want to keep playing with the automation aspect of the game for early game like I talked about. I definitely want to get the red science packs feeding into a lab machine, so we can place that down. And I'm okay with it being just a temporary setup, of course. In fact, all of this is temporary. That's something to keep in mind. And we'll do, I think, the daisy chain technique for now, which looks something like this. Hopefully we can make the underground belts go all the way through, which we can. And there we go. It's something like that, and then we can extend the labs, probably like going from right to left if needed, and then just daisy chain the labs from there. We do need power, of course, but there we go. So these should start continuing to work. It's all just a little slow, but we can also add more labs to speed things up a little bit. I'm actually not sure how many labs this supports off the top of my head, but we'll add at least more than what we currently have. But what that means is we can actually start doing some automated research. And then a couple of you guys have been asking if I've enabled the what's it called? The automatic research or something like that? The research queue, that's what it is. To answer that question, I have not. One reason for that is because I didn't think about enabling it, unfortunately, when I created the map. But secondly, even if I did consciously think about the option, I think I might have decided not to enable it because I do like having full control over what gets researched and when it gets researched. So with that said, I think the next thing I do want to research will be the logistics science packs, aka the green science packs. So we're going to start that now because that will enable further research options down the tech tree. So that should take a little bit of time, I'd imagine. It takes 75 per or something like that. And then also I added a couple things to my tool belt, as you guys can see. I've also been getting a lot of feedback about that. So we're already getting a lot done in just the first couple minutes, which is great. And this probably won't even take too long, hopefully. In fact, maybe can we add like one more lab just to speed it up a little bit further? There we go. Already much better. So at this point, I definitely still need to automate most of the items that I can craft by hand. A couple of the contenders that I would really like to get automation for would be the assembler machines, definitely the miners, and then, ooh, that reminds me, power is okay. We'll have to keep an eye on that though. And then what else can we automate? Oh, definitely it'd be nice to automate the underground belts and the splitters. We already have the regular inserters, but of course long-handed would be nice too eventually. I think, let's see. Once green science or logistics science is done, which it is now, we can take a look and see the recipe for that. So good, it still takes exactly the same recipe as it did in 0.16, just transport belts and inserters. So I think we'll do that first. Let's just do green science. Ooh, and I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room, did I? that's okay. We could like extend that down if needed. So in fact, I think we might do that. So to do 1 pack a second for green science, we would want 6 assemblers, whereas it takes 5 assemblers for red science to do 1 pack a second. So a couple different ratios there, but what this means is we thankfully have this belt right here that we can pull from. And we can do that for the output. It'll take the other side of the same belt, sharing it with the red science, which is really convenient. I didn't plan it to be this convenient, but it happened to just kind of work out. Oh no. But this needs to extend even further down. Unfortunately, I don't have any belt braiding capabilities at this point, or else I would be glad to do that. So what we could do is, since I don't need that going in that direction, we'll just extend it like so and have it go all the way down. Increase the spaghettiness even further. So we'll pull from there, 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 and there. And then, of course, we won't have enough to support like green science with just this assembler for inserters and then this one for belts, plus all of the other things needed for production. But I'm thinking what we'll do is take from this line to end up feeding our other things needed for upgraded inserters and upgraded belts. So I know it won't be the most ratio efficient type thing, but it would technically work, which is what I care about at this point. So let's give everything power. Let's give some light over here. Gosh, that's really dark. We'll put in the recipe. And move that. That is about one of the easiest automation factories I've made recently. But there we go. Green science, now automated. What? Crap, I'm missing an assembler though, hold on. Now it is automated and ratio perfect. Even better. I'm feeling pretty accomplished if you guys can't tell. So, we'll do something like that. And, oh, I need an output. There we go. Looking pretty good. All right, so green science automated, check. Red science automated, check. We're already getting a bunch of things on the to-do list done. Logistic science researched. Now I say we do the thing that I think will make you guys happy, which is do steel processing, because once we actually get steel processing, we can do upgraded military things like getting the upgraded ammo and stuff like that, because I know you guys have been reminding me with your comments. I promise I've been reading them about me needing to do something with the biters. I usually do like the turret creep thing, where it's kind of like you leapfrog a turret in front of the other so that behind turret can like still damage the enemy. But I would kind of appreciate having a tank to kill this stuff. So this is unfortunately where the research queue thing would be coming in handy, so I could just see what it takes to get the tank and then do it. But where is it? Tank. There's the car. Oh, there it is. Okay, so tanks. Oh, I'm going to have to get up to blue science before I can even think about the tank. And blue science, I believe, does that still mean I'm pretty much needing oil at that point? Yeah, pretty much. So the tank, we're probably a decent ways off from that. But who knows? We'll see what I can do to kind of optimize my military readiness before having to get to that point. So I'm really thrilled that red and green science is working at this point. That's already so much better than what we had at the beginning of the episode. Now, let's see. We just got done researching the steel. Ooh. Let's do... Gosh, Gosh, I can't make up my mind. Let's do military 2. And then we'll just research as much as we possibly can just to increase our readiness as this series continues. So at this point, I think let's just continue automating what we can. We're going to start automating the underground belts and the splitters and inserters next. And let's see, remind myself. The underground belts take iron plate and transport belts. Thankfully, I have iron right nearby, but I was planning on using this for steel, so I think I want to get the input for the iron from this belt line and bring it over, which I know will look a little bit funky, but that's what I want to do. So let me move that pole. We'll place that pole there, move that inserter. I'm just planning on having room for underground belts to go through this way if needed, if that makes sense. And let's get rid of these guys. There we go. And let's keep doing some research. We can unlock military, although I think let's focus on, let's do heavy armor real quick. And then we can make an upgraded armor suit. All right, so now I'm just worried about how do I bring the iron over. So I know this is ugly. Oh, and there's a power pole in the way. Oh, no, there's not. Never mind. It just looked like there was. There we go. Perfect. Wow, it is looking crazy with all of the spaghetti going on now. But we now have a new line for iron plate access here, so we can use that for all sorts of stuff, I'd imagine. And we can make more iron gear wheels, unless I want to bring the iron gear wheels. I don't know. I'm okay with doing kind of direct insertion or making another iron gear wheel factory from here. So we'll start with the underground belts, I think. That takes just iron plate and the actual belts themselves. There we go. Underground belts should be covered. We'll do a little box right here. And then I imagine I might have to move some stuff around once we get everything in place, but at least this is a good start. And we'll cap that off at 1. Actually, let's move this around because eventually we'll want the red underground belts so we can add more assemblers easily going from right to left instead of, you know, fitting it down there. So again, we'll cap that off at 1. And then for the splitters, I believe that takes electronic circuits as well, which I don't have as readily available. Where did they end? They ended here. Crap. I'm trying to think of what I can do to get them over here. Oh boy. I could maybe bring them over from right to left, or do something with changing how this works. I think changing this would be easiest. So let me just kind of delete stuff. So I'm kind of starting with a blank slate here, which is something I'm saying a lot this series. So that goes there. This, it needs those things. We'll move that. We'll move the pole. And then we can move this and have it go underground beneath everything, I guess. Wow, this is getting messier and messier by the minute. There we go. I know that solves this problem temporarily. And again, this was, what was this? This was the splitter, so we still need all of that stuff. And then a little box. And then we'll cap that off at 1 as well. Let's add in more power. All right, that's working. We're on our way to getting splitters. Now we just have to fix what I did here. Let's see, so I need to bring these together. That's one way of doing it, I suppose, is how I'm doing it here. And then underground, move that pole, move that. And there we go. The side of the lanes has switched up a little bit, but I don't think that's a big deal. And then what would be nice is if we had a box for the yellow inserters, but we can worry about that later. In fact, I'm just gonna clear up this mess. There we go. Oh, and we can do more research. Let's not forget about that. Electronics would be nice. That would go into fast inserters. Oh, the circuit network, that would be really nice. Solar panels, automation 2, all sorts of stuff. Ooh, and then these steel furnaces. I've actually never used steel furnaces ever before because I always go from stone and then just keep it stone until I go on to electric furnaces. But this would be nice to actually get up and running once I get steel up and running. Let's do the tool belt though. Let's see what happens with that, what that unlocks for me. And let's just keep going with the automation. We're doing a good job so far with all of this spaghetti madness. And let's check out, okay, we're still doing okay. This one needs more ammo, but we'll address that in just a minute here. So I think leaving room from right to left will mean we have room for upgrades. So upgrades for like the red underground belts, the red splitters, things like that. But now we can work on, I said, the inserters next. So inserters take iron gear wheels as well, and we can do, I think this will be a machine for iron gears. There we go, and then I need to put the iron gear wheels somewhere. And I want to get rid of this rock. Alright, so the only thing we can worry about above the yellow inserters, which we already have, is the long-handed inserters. But eventually we should be able to do the blue inserters and, you know, green and purple and all that stuff eventually too. But in terms of the red, we'll need the yellow inserters, but I think the blue inserters also take the yellow inserters as an ingredient. So we'll have to think of a way to get the yellow inserters to the blue machine, which I don't think should be too hard. We'll just use a splitter at some point somewhere. So let's do... Oh, I keep on forgetting that I have my tool belt over here. And I need my poles. I should probably put the poles on my tool belt. So there we go. That's a little bit better. So this just now takes iron and inserters. And we can get rid of that now. Until we need it. We can add another line eventually later. And power pole. And we're going to also cap that off at 1. And then I really should add in a box somewhere for the yellow inserters. I know this will... I don't have a filter inserter quite yet. So unfortunately, anything it grabs is kind of free game. But we're just going to cap it off at 1 stack. And that way, it can only take the yellow inserters. So there is a solution to that little problem. And then, let's see, miners, it'd be nice to automate. The assemblers, it'd be nice to automate. And then I think after we automate those things, that will be kind of as much as we can automate for the essentials, apart from maybe like electrical poles and lights and things like that. But those aren't, you know, have to have items necessarily. So miners, those are really important though. Crap, I'm already getting away from my machines. I need to remember I need to leave enough room for eventual furnaces to go in this empty space here. But I think, oh, let's start grabbing the fruits of our labor here. There we go. Oh, and you know what? I need a box for the belts as well. I don't have a box for that yet. We'll put a box here and do the same trick we did for the inserters. And there we go. Although it looks like this production has really slowed down. My iron just can't keep up. But like I said, we'll expand on this eventually. That might just be something I do off camera. And another light or two would come in handy. There we go. So what did I say this was for? This was for the miners. We need iron plate, iron gear wheels, and green circuits. So I technically do have iron plate right there. I have green circuits right there. Oh, we'll do something like that. And we'll bring the gear wheels over somehow. And then the iron plate we'll use... Do I have any long-handed inserters ready to go? I do. We'll grab all of those. And there we go. We just need an output box at this point. Awesome, and we'll cap that off at 50, which should be 1 stack. And then the last thing that I really want to automate would be, I think, the assembler ones, which conveniently take the exact same things as this machine here. So maybe we can just... Will it fit? It will. And then I need green circuits like that. Power, we'll give it power, and then I do need, what else? Oh, iron gear wheels, which will, actually, we can do direct insertion for that. So I am coming up with a lot of really weird techniques for this, but I think as long as it works, like I said, that should be okay. So we need another box there. We'll cap that off at 1. But this will just slowly build up over time, which is all I need for now. So I think those are all the basics that I really needed automated at this point done. There's a couple things we're still missing, like automation of, you know, pipes and lamps and poles and, you know, miscellaneous odds and ends that we don't use quite as much. but I think we're still making a decent amount of progress, so we're going to go ahead and end it here, actually. I think next time when we pick up with episode 7, we can start, using these things that we've built today, start optimizing the base a little bit, and then we can finally figure out a plan for taking out the biter problem. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll be catching you guys later.